think this has been a marvellous day, and it's given us much to reflect upon. And during the course of the day, I also began to reflect on Bernard Leach's legacy and the importance of the Leach pottery as a space for work, discussion, and personal development. And this was, in effect, what Bernard Leach offered intermittently from the 1920s onwards till his death, and it continued after his death, of course. The pottery definitely had its ups and downs, and there were those involved who were highly critical of its ethos, which was never a fixed thing in any case. Harry Davis in the 1930s, Richard Bartram in the 50s were critical about what was on offer there. But on balance, I think it provided a creative space for an extraordinary range of people. It was in many ways a non-judgmental space of freedom, both personal and professional. And I think that was also true of the workshops Michael Cardew was involved with, both here and in West Africa, as we heard from Jara's wonderful talk in the morning. And perhaps I think we can add someone like Edmund de Waal's studio in South London, Julian Stair's studio also in South London, the potter Kate Malone, who has created all kinds of iterations of community studios in North London. These places are to be valued. And I think it's marvellous that the Leach pottery survived, as it were, because it seems to me that we're not very good at, unlike in Japan and actually in the former Soviet Union, retaining places and spaces where artists worked. And what's great about the Leach pottery is it's not a museum. There is a museum component, but it's actually a sort of living place. Places like that, creative places that are good to be in, can mean many things, I think, as Jara and Edmund's talks suggested. And their talks both left me in no doubt that as ceramicists and as writers on ceramics, we have to engage while maintaining the high concentration and devotion to creative work that defines being an artist or a maker, however you want to describe yourself. And it's very hard to do both. And a figure like Richard Bartram chose to engage through a way of life that was incredibly focused and might have seemed inward looking, but I'd argue was not. Ideas float and objects can sit, and sometimes the two need to unite, as they do perhaps in the work of Carol McNichol or Grayson Perry, by using ceramic, or Paul Scott, using ceramic as a sort of vehicle to tell us things. Or, as in the case of Jara and Edmund, by making things happen in a multiplicity of ways. And that's also true of the exhibitors in crafting the commons, people like Ellie Carpenter and Linda Brothwell. The idea of the commons is a powerful one that stands against corporations and governments that are increasingly working against shared, free public assets and spaces. And craft as commons points the way through committed makers commenting on the problems that face us in this area. As William Blake said, it's a sad but depressing truth. We can only do good on the whole in small particulars. And that will be true unless we see a subtle sea change in civil society. Until then, the workshop, the project, memory work like Jara's and Edmund's, that's what we have. The Leach pottery, the work at Craft Space, that's what we've got. And that's what we must value. Bodies like the Women's Institutes bodies where people come together to do stuff, knitting circles, embroidery. They sound like small things, but they're actually very big because we're face to face and we're with each other. And under lockdown, I think we were all had time to reflect on how important those kind of very tender moments can be. So thank you, everybody. And I wish I was in St. Ives. I wish it was time for that swim, but it's been a great day.